Welcome back to the Box Score podcast. I'm here with Mason, Con, and Mike. How's everyone feeling?
Good. We are recording Sunday, March 31st. So for all those that celebrate, happy Easter.
Yeah,
Alright,
no, this is gonna be fun. I can't wait to talk about these awards. So
How was
we got a good
your
list.
vacation, Nick? How was the vacay?
Oh man, I'm still on it. I don't know if you guys can tell, but I got some
Oh yeah.
I don't even know what that is.
actually
It's
didn't
some
recognize.
Balinese looking salmon. I'm in Bali. If anyone doesn't know,
Okay.
working on my tan. I can see me and Mason we're twinning. Got a bit of a tan going.
Nice.
Mason, I didn't get the chance to ask last week. How was Miami?
It was good. It was good. I won't go too into depth with it, but it was good. Yeah, but I'm excited to be here today and just talk NBA with you guys again, as the four of us. So yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
Of course.
That's right. Got the team back.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, I know it sounds kind of bad being on holiday and all, but I'll say it. This is definitely what I was looking forward to all day.
Okay.
All right. Well, today for this episode, we wanted to discuss the annual awards. So we've sort of held off on this all season due to the new 65 game rule. We didn't want to make any early presumptions on who would make it. I mean, we've seen a lot of guys even guys in the MVP race like Joel Embiid, Donovan Mitchell, being eliminated from contention due to the new rule. But we're here now. So I think we'll kick it off with maybe a consensus pick. Start off with something easy, something light. Rookie of the year. So I'm going to throw it to Con first. I think this will be a pretty quick segment. There won't be too much debate here. Maybe Mike wants to throw it in also a Thompson pick.
You know who it is. Shout out to All Star Thompson, but we know who the rookie of the year is.
You said this. You didn't want to be presumptuous, but I actually this will not be a quick pick. I know who the heavy consensus favorite is.
Brandon Miller. I think that's all we're all thinking, right?
Very good.
We're thinking
Close,
Brandon Miller.
right? He's a long shot third, but yes, hey, he's still top three.
I wouldn't say long shot. I mean,
Have you seen the odds? I mean,
hey,
maybe if you're Warren Buffett,
Vegas
you
is a
could
little
put
bit.
that down, right?
If you're Warren Buffett,
I mean, at that point, because he's listed fifth, I could go
that.
Brandon
I'm being real.
Pajemski, right? But no, if
Oh,
I
no,
were
you
about,
wild. You put money on Brandon Pajemski. Nah.
I am. I'm going to answer these as if I had an actual vote for these postseason awards or for these NBA awards, and if I did, my vote would wholeheartedly go to Chet Holmgren. Yes. Now, typically, voters are supposed to for I think Rookie of the Year. I think for all these awards, you're supposed to give your first, second, third. Wembanyama, yes, Victor Wembanyama would definitely be my second. Brandon Miller would be my third.
All right. I mean, do you want to make a case for that? I mean, I feel like around I think January, December, January, we were all thinking Chet, right? And then it sort of slowly slipped into a more of an even race. It was sort of pulling hairs between Wemby and Chet. I mean, just as the consensus, right, from what I've read and what I've seen. But I feel like from what I've in the eyes of most people around the league, Wemby sort of pulled away from Chet over the last couple of months, which is sort of why I think we're all somewhat surprised at Con's pick. So, Con, do you want to just sort of make the case for us?
You really should not have started with me. Okay, simply put. No. You should not have started with me. If you wanted Wembanyama, is what I meant, not right? No.
I don't want anybody. I'm totally unbiased. Unless it's Brandon Miller. I want Brandon Miller.
Let him speak. Let him speak.
If it's simply just who has the best counting stats, as often it becomes, because most of the time, Rookie of the Years, it comes down to a bunch of players who are on bad teams, right? Like I remember Stephen Curry's rookie year, and it came down between him and Tyreek Evans, right? Both teams won 20-something games, right? What does that make? So basically, it goes down to who has the best averages, who has the best counting stats. If we're looking past that, like we should not fault Chet for being on a good team. And it may be an oversimplification, but their rise is largely in part because of Chet Holmgren. For all the versatility that we praise Victor Wembanyama about, in my opinion, I think Chet has all that versatility and frankly more. Like he is already impacting and winning, right? I think obviously, I'm saying this much because I think very highly of Chet Holmgren. Um, Going again back to his high school days, but as far as my quote unquote my hot takes go, I've said all season I think he is the first omni-positional player in which I think at his best version of himself, not now, but he's showing it. I think he could legitimately play all 5 positions. You really can. And the versatility that OKC is showing, again, is largely driven by him. That he can basically kind of become like a chameleon and assume any position in any given lineup, you know? Over like compensating for his teammates' weaknesses, all kinds of things. So, I mean, yeah, I understand why most people will pick Victor Wembanyama, but ultimately, in terms of we talk about what the Spurs can be with when Wembanyama, adds more strength and everything, we're already seeing what the Thunder can be and more. And Chet is also not even close to being in his physical or skill-wise prime. So for that reason, I'm not going to fault him just because he plays alongside SGA and Jalen Williams. And actually, ever since Nick disparaged Josh Giddey, who has been on a hot tear, I mean, no.
I think I sold my stock at the wrong time.
He's largely like, if SGA is in MVP conversations, it's largely because of the position Chet is helping him put him in, where he could basically just kind of shine at his best. So yeah, my pick is Chet Holmgren. I know you ask me, is he going to win? Probably not. But if I was a voter, I'd be that one dude. Then if he gets 100 voters, I'm the one guy out of 90. The 90. So I'm the one out of 100 that didn't vote for him. So yeah.
I mean, I totally agree with that. I agree that him being on a good team shouldn't be held against him. In fact, I believe it is obviously a compelling part of his case and a big part of his case. In fact, I'm so much on that side that even a couple of years ago, my pick for Rookie of the Year was Evan Mobley because of that fact. I think it's a very underrated part of the Rookie of the Year race, being on a good team and being a big part of being on a good team. I agree. A lot of people just look at counting stats, but Wemby's counting stats are just so good, man.
Yeah, very crazy.
I'm not one to sort of look past team success. I think I value it more than others, but those counting stats are really nice.
Man, and winning games lately with the team on his shoulders too. So,
I mean, I know we weren't going to speak about it, but you guys saw that. Were you guys watching the Knicks Spurs game? Man.
Yes, sir.
I mean, he not only dropped 40 points and 20 rebounds. I think he had like 7 assists as well, which is impressive in itself for a 7'4", 7'5" dude. But he defeated like a formidable team in the Knicks that I don't know about Mason and Con, but I know me and Mike believe they are a contending team and a real threat in the Eastern Conference. And I think he showed that he has the ability to be a winning player. He's just not in the right situation. And in fact, I don't know where this team would be without Wemby. If they had gotten the second pick or the third pick, right, and they'd ended up with Brandon Miller or Scoot Henderson, I don't know if this team would be in double-digit wins. I don't even know if they'd have like 7 or 8 right now. I mean, this team is miserable, and he's made them almost a good team to watch, right? Like, And again, the counting stats are really good, man. These are historic numbers he's putting up. I hate to keep coming back to it because I'm sort of falling into that
They're definitely the best at work to
demographic
watch.
that Con's sort of referencing in terms of people that just look at counting stats. And I'm not all that person, but again, the counting stats are really good.
Oh, look at
Mason.
Mason doing.
Ooh,
I caught that.
No, I mean, I'm
He said
I'm Team Wemby.
Lakers.
No, yeah, I'm Team Wemby this whole time, and I mean, Chet had like a month and a half that it was
Yeah,
probably like 55-45
absolutely.
Chet Holmgren,
yeah.
I think it was even higher. Yeah.
but where this race kind of switched is when Wemby just put on a clinic on Chet when he just shut him down and crucial part of that OKC Spurs game. I think their last meeting. Wemby just was shutting Chet down, swatting shots, just pestering, being a pest the whole time. But Wemby is the rookie of the year, hands down, I think, right now. And let's not forget Chet Holmgren. He's not a rookie. This is his second year in the NBA. So he's had 2 years of like being around NBA players. And also like if you switch Wemby and Chet on teams, I think Wemby makes a bigger impact on the OKC Oklahoma City Thunder. So for that reason, I'm gonna just keep it short. I think Victor Wembanyama is the rookie of the year. So
I don't
Michael,
know if I totally agree, but I don't know if I don't think that the Thunder would be better with Wemby. I mean, as Con said,
What?
Chet is just
Thank
so
you.
versatile.
No, I
and
agree.
just
SGA?
fits so well.
you don't think they would be better with?
They would not. Right now, no.
Oh, ooh.
Absolutely not. I'm
No.
on Con's side.
Not at all. Not at all. This will obviously overflow into the defensive player of the year argument because currently Wembanyama is listed second in terms of the Vegas odds. But
Yeah.
no.
But I mean,
No.
second is like putting money on 10th in MVP. I mean, we all know who DPOY is, and I know I came in here saying the same thing for Rookie of the Year, but I don't think anyone can make a really compelling case against
Okay, so let's
a
go
certain
right
French
into it
person.
then. Let's go right
I
into
mean,
it.
French person's undisclosed.
Y'all gave enough
See
details
that?
about especially you kind with breaking down chat, and yeah, kind of Mason really broke it down. So
All right, so we all agree.
Wemby would be my pick, but yeah, let's go right into that defensive player of the year stuff and just segue right there.
So
Bam.
first of all, that's official, right? Wemby
Yeah.
is this is the box scores official Rookie of the Year for 2024.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Is that
Yeah.
all right?
3-1.
That's fine. There you go.
All right.
Chat is second.
So
There you go.
we'll go into defensive player of the year right now. And I think, as I said before, a certain Frenchman is still on the show. I'm not going to disclose which one I think it is. Mason, I'm going to throw it to you. What do you think?
It's Gobert. It's Gobert.
Thank you. All right.
It's going to be a 4-time defensive player of the year this year. It's good for him. Good for Tim Conley, the Wolves GM, and good for the state of Minnesota. I mean that Rudy Gobert trade has looked very well. Has not aged the best, when it happened, but this year I think it's changed a lot of opinions about that Gobert trade was pretty good. Walker Kessler, who was getting a lot of buzz last year, is kind of having a sophomore slump. So there's just a lot of things that it's exciting to be a Minnesota fan right now when they're third in the Western Conference right now. They're having a great year, and Cat's out. He's missed last probably 10 to 15 games. So Rudy Gobert has really put that defense on their back, and there's the reason why the Minnesota Timberwolves have the best defensive stats in the NBA. So congrats to Rudy Gobert. I think Rudy Gobert is my pick. Anthony Davis has played great as a Lakers fan, but this is Gobert's war to win. So
I totally agree. I mean, they went from I think they were like a middle of the pack defensive team last year to I think they were hovering around the 16 to 20 range from memory. But him sort of really locking in and having a year to gel is why this team is so good, right? I mean, they were slammed for only making the play-in last year, right? But they made the play-in the year before. So it's not like a lot of people were saying that the Gobert trade was a failure. they didn't get any worse. And after this season, they're now, what are they right now? Are they the 1 seed? I believe they're the 1 seed.
Yes. Yes.
As
They're
of this
one
morning,
seed?
or as of today, yes.
Yeah, with the best defense in basketball, and that is purely down to Rudy Gobert. I don't think this team makes it into the top 6 without Rudy Gobert. He's been the game changer for them this season.
Well, you know what? I want to debate that because I don't know that Nas Reed can fill Rudy Gobert shoes. He might can fill Karl Anthony Towns shoes, but I don't know that he can fill Rudy.
I don't think anyone can fill Rudy Gobert's shoes. I think
No,
when it's all
they
said
because
and
in
done,
that
you
case,
look at him, he's
Towns
one of
would
the
have
greatest
already been
defenders
doing
to
it.
ever do it.
Yeah, Towns would have already been doing it if it was possible because he's got the length and the girth and whatnot. So yeah, it's just you can't teach defense like that and instincts on the ball. So yeah,
I mean, this dude is
that's
just generational, right? We might
long
never,
story
never see a guy
short.
like him again.
Yeah, long story short, that's my pick too. And I think he looks better in Minnesota because, like, when I think of him in Utah, um, it's just a better fit for him. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't seem like he's having problems with his teammates and stuff like that. Like the stuff that was going on with Donovan Mitchell, where he would only get one touch from Donovan Mitchell over 48 minutes. Are you like, nah, man, that wasn't a fit. And then having Carl out the way, um it actually allows him to do what he does without having to worry about, oh, Karl Anthony Towns on the floor. He has to be out there because if he comes down in the post, the spacing is messed up. So it's like everything is more flowing and better fitting. You know what I mean? Especially with Anthony Edwards taking over and the whole team taking on his identity now too. Like, and he can just fit right into that because we're seeing like a resurgence of the slashers. Like I want to say, Jalen Green. Like who's looking good over there with him? Alfred Shanglin, you know what I mean, or Jabari Smith to a certain extent. Like we're starting to see that dynamic of like slashing style guard or wing person with a big Cade, Jalen Duran. You know what I mean? Like, but not to get off topic, Rudy Gobert, yeah, it's the perfect fit right now for him there. So yeah, he's got my pick too because they do have the best record and the best defense in the league. Easy.
All right, is Con gonna go with the consensus here? I see a bit of a smile on his face. That's usually never good.
Before you go, Khan,
yes,
he looked bad when Draymond had him in that WWE headlock, though. You know what I mean?
memorable. I'll never forget it. You know?
Yeah, I won't either.
But I will acknowledge that I do believe Rudy Gobert is going to win. So if you wanted to make this a short conversation, then yes. But again, if I were as a voter and I'm not just that dude,
bring the chaos. I love this.
He would be third on my list.
Ooh, okay. Let's hear that.
That's I don't even know if I want to hear this.
No, let's hear this. Let's hear this. He's about to give some great basketball breakdown. Go for that.
If anything, he's gonna get us a hell of a lot of interactions on Twitter. So let's go.
You putting Victor in there somewhere? You have to be.
Oh no, absolutely. He's not even on the list.
Neither of the Frenchmen.
No.
Neither of the Frenchmen.
Okay.
Third is still a wonderful accomplishment. No, first I would have. Actually, no, I'd say fine. We'll go backwards then. Third would be Rudy. Second would be Anthony Davis. First would be Bam Adebayo.
I mean, now you're saying I don't hate it, but
wow, yeah,
I also don't love it.
Yeah, because again, two of my favorite defensive player of the years were Marc Gasol and Joakim Noah. Right?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And I remember at the time, Marc Gasol, everyone's like, that was the first time where I think voters really actually kept an open mind about how they, because it's hard to evaluate defense, right?
Yeah.
Because, especially back in the 60s and 70s, it was very apparent, like whoever led the league in blocks or steals, it's just, it makes sense. It goes back to this whole counting stats argument. And I'm not trying to discredit Gobert's or anybody's, but a lot of the times you're starting to see, again, what they all say, that the things that don't show up in the box score, right? There really is no stat for it. And the things that Bam and Anthony Davis both do, there are no stats for it. Again, last week, and I know even though my pick is Bam, like both of them, but even AD, it's the idea that the shots that they're not, like other opposing teams aren't even willing to take against them, and it's not even just reputation, right? Their ability to completely fill spaces, right? Terminate your dribble. There's no stat for that. Terminating
Yeah.
one's dribble,
Yeah.
right? Or actually forcing them to another dribble,
Yeah.
things like that. And
Their ability to kill plays.
am I biased because I've seen Gobert in the playoffs several times and see him struggle? Yes. But it's still see it in these like elite matchups, right? Where again, I know I'm that guy. I keep beating the drum on it about being able to defend in space. And he cannot. He cannot, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
as we've seen these last several weeks, and I'm glad that other media outlets are picking up on it, right? It's really, they'll go super small, right? And they'll have like Jaden McDaniels, right? Kind of play like stretches at small ball 5 and pick up, the other teams, beyond the perimeter. Bam does it right now. In my opinion, he does it like at least that the ability to switch out into the perimeter to blow up action, right? To be a guy who can like, even you rarely see like a big ice a pick and roll, and he's doing it, right? And then to
Yeah.
be able to recover, to become like the second line of defense, and then somehow still be in position, right, to protect at the rim. And
Yeah.
again, I'd say both he and Anthony Davis do it. I'd go with Bam just because he's been a little bit more consistent, and their defense as a team is a little bit better. But again, yeah, it's defensive player of the year, right? It goes because it's the whole we're saying, like eventually we'll talk about MVP. Are we just saying it's the best defender on
Individual
the best
player.
team defense? And make no
I
mistake,
think it's
he
the
could be the
best.
drive. He could be the reason as to why, right? That team is the best defense, or the best overall team defense. But
It's these awards are all regular season awards though, because
I
like
understand that.
the voting happens before the playoffs. They're submitted, and we look back at it and we read them off. I think there's probably a better discussion. Should awards pause till the playoffs and the finals are over? Absolutely. But I think this award is a regular season award, and it just has to go to Gobert. I think when you look at the stats, the defensive ratings, Gobert has Bam by nearly 5 points. He keeps the team, and obviously defensive rating is a team stat. Obviously, when it's combined, because you're out there with 4 other guys that are helping you out. But it's a regular season award, and I know Gobert has his problems in the postseason, at least with the Jazz, and he actually had a pretty good series against Jokic last year. It wasn't terrible, but I think it's a regular season award, and you just have to give it to him. Like I just think
There's a stat for everything.
Agree.
Yeah.
There's a stat for everything. So okay, in isolation, Bam is right 67.9 defensive rating.
Mm-hmm.
So if this is right, it's an individual award. Well, then there's his individual defensive rating. I mean,
but like, are we sure? Are we sure? Like Gobert's impact on Minnesota has shocked many people. I mean, there's also a little bit of a shock value too. Like people like to be kind of surprised, and obviously a 4-time defensive player of the year is like not surprising, or a 3-time becoming a 4-time. But like people were so low on Gobert, I think that also helps in the voting factor of like in shock and surprise, and people are like, okay, this is like
It's all very narrative driven, absolutely.
yeah, it is a narrative driven, and Bam is great, and I think he gets his flowers a lot more than Gobert, and I think maybe that's why a lot of us are leading Gobert, but Gobert has really put the whole state of Minnesota in like a state of frenzy right now. Obviously, Anthony Edwards and Karl Anthony Towns, just do so much wonders for their offense with Mike Conley, but Gobert is really cleans up a lot of their mistakes. I mean, Edwards can flip on being a good perimeter defender when he wants to, but Karl Anthony Towns has never shown any lick of defense in his life, and Gobert has completely fixed that problem for them, and which is awesome for them. So, but I just
Yeah.
my vote. I feel very strongly about Gobert.
Yeah, make no mistake. Like I said, I know I'm going to be in the minority, but I do
Yeah.
think there is a case to be made, and I'm not necessarily just picking Bam to, like I said,
Push back.
push back or
It's
kind
a
of
good
like
pushback, by the way.
be a
I like the argument.
contrarian,
I like the
Yeah,
argument.
contrarian
it's good,
Conrad.
definitely.
Right?
And I mean, I will
But
say I wasn't very open
I
to it before,
think,
but you made a good case.
yeah, I think there is a lack of attention and appreciation for what Bam, and again, not to just gas you up, Mason, but what Anthony Davis is doing. I think it's
Yeah.
just really being overlooked. And I think actually their contributions are extremely paramount, to the success of their respective teams. So, I mean, yeah, if I were a voter, it would go Bam. Heat culture. There you go.
Nice.
All right. Well, for first place, I mean, the majority of us are saying Rudy Gobert. So why don't we have a discussion of a second place? Right? Who do you guys have in second? Because I know Con, you said AD. I have AD as well. Michael, did you say Wemby?
No, no, he would be in the top 5, but he's not. He's not one because if he was the best defensive player, why are the Spurs one of the
No,
worst
no,
teams in
second.
the
Sorry,
league?
second.
No, he's not second either.
Who do you have in second? Then?
I would actually say, I would agree with Khan and go with Bam because if it was AD, especially with all the length that the Lakers have, why are they not? Why are they in the damn play-in? In Miami, where is Miami right now?
They're the 8th seed right now. I think the Lakers
Can I
actually have
say-
a better record.
Can I say
They
the
got a
Lakers
better-
actually
Do they have a
actually
better record?
played
41.
very good. They actually have been
Yeah.
playing very well.
Nah, I ain't
Yeah.
going with
Real
Anthony
soccer.
Davis.
It's just very hard
the
to move up
Heat.
in Western Conference.
Yeah, the Lakers have one more win.
They have one. Anthony Davis can hold that third spot down. That's fine. He's
Okay,
super
so-
prime. He should be really showing up. It shouldn't be Rudy. It should be AD. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
He's not.
I mean, if
he's
you
not
asked me 5 years ago,
34. Huh?
you asked me 5 years ago, I would say AD would have at least 2, 3 DPOYs by now, but he's still got none. And I
He
don't know where
doesn't.
they
And
get one.
then he
About
doesn't like to
Marcus
guard
too.
centers. Why is it that when he has a big matchup against like Embiid, Giannis, or Jokic especially, Jokic is just like, oh, ha ha ha, and it's just like he can do whatever he want to do. Like, oh, behind your head, ha ha.
But with
Yeah,
that
did you
voice,
see?
man.
Have you seen? Because that's what he does. It's like he's like, oh yeah, let me take this clown to the circus, and then he just started doing all of his moves, making shots that we ain't never seen from Jokic. He does them against AD exclusively. You know what I mean? It seems like so. No,
Man,
no
they hate
AD.
Lakers.
Oh,
All
I'm
right,
sorry, Mason. I keep forgetting you got that logo on your chest.
I'm
Mason's getting
always
pretty SD over there.
wearing some merchandise from the Lakers, so
Attaboy.
we'll always have to.
I got a Kobe hat over here. I'm sorry, with the Lakers logo on it too. I do. It's over here.
No,
Don't.
yeah, my second
All right.
is probably AD though, but yeah, but let's move on though.
We'll get. I mean, so Rudy Gobert's first. I think he's like consensus. He's the DPOY. Not consensus. Sorry. Con.
majority.
Bam is second.
Majority.
Bam is second, and AD is third. Is that our
There
rankings?
you go. I can live with
All
that.
right.
Yeah.
Great. All right. We'll make our way to the big one, but in the meantime, why don't we throw it to most improved player? I think this is a very interesting race. There's a lot of candidates. It can go a lot of different ways. Con's making that face, so I'm going to throw it to him.
Already? Oh, man. Okay. Yeah. This is it's a really
A lot of ways you can
interesting.
look at it.
Yeah, there's a lot of ways you could really look at it. Obviously, okay. I know who the heavy favorite. Well, it's not heavy favorite, but the favorite is Tyrese Maxey, and I do believe he'll likely win it. I think he's extremely deserving. I want to acknowledge that. I do. Yes, I think he's elevated his game in the sense that he has taken on more responsibility. Definitely a bigger leadership role even before Embiid's injury. But see again, how are we defining improvement? For me, it's like you are actually improving your overall
Your
skill, right? Your game.
I mean, can I just
Learning
say
the game.
that?
Go ahead.
Sorry, didn't mean to cut you off, but I hate the way that we generally look at this award. Right, the way that the media looks at it. I mean, the last few years, right, we've seen when we're about. I think we're about to see Tyrese Maxey win it. We've seen John Morant win it. Those kind of
Yeah.
guys.
See?
It's
Jaw
like
one's a
their
weird
second. Yeah, I mean, these guys are just in their second 30. We expect them to make this jump. The way I think we should look at it in the true meaning of the award is these guys that we just didn't see, that they came out of nowhere and have suddenly really put themselves on the map and have become genuine stars within the league out of nowhere. The perfect example of this is Lowry Markkinen last year. I loved
Yes.
that. I'm just trying to think of other examples. I'm blanking, but I know there's a couple of other examples over the last few years, but it's majority just given to these young players that should make this jump. I don't know why we're rewarding them
Yeah,
for
I
making the
mean,
jump they should.
again, I don't want to make it seem like I'm trying to discredit Tyrese Maxey's accomplishments this season,
Absolutely. Yeah.
but to me, he's just again. See, now it sounds like I'm disparaging him. To me, it seems like he's doing a lot more of what he already did last year. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Just on a higher
Like,
volume.
Harden's gone. There are more field goal attempts. I'm not saying he's like a chucker or anything like that, but I mean, he's just doing a lot more of what he's already done. Like, I'm not really seeing him expanding his game, whereas the guy who I would give it to is Kobe White. And
Thank you.
despite
Yes.
not being, again, like you said, right? Like, it's not like he's just going from a rookie to sophomore. Like, going even back to our previous episode, like, he's completely changed the perception of how we look at him. This is a guy who was like, okay, he's a backup player, a fringe guy, and he is not just doing a bigger role. He's doing things I didn't know that he was capable of doing, and he's done it all season. Because
Absolutely.
as Michael was saying a couple weeks back, like, are you going to build around Kobe White, whether or not you think they should? The fact that that's even a discussion goes to show just how much he has improved. So for me, my vote would be Kobe White.
Totally agree. You took the name out of my mouth and the argument too. I had all the
Okay.
notes. Literally, you just repeated my notes. I think you might have peeked at some
Mason?
point, but
You didn't see me in Bali?
I'm gonna throw some numbers in here to back up. our
Please
case
do.
for it. Right. So he's jumped up. As you said, he was just sort of a backup guy. He's jumped from around 20 minutes a game to nearly 37 minutes a game. His field goal percentage has increased. His 3-point percentage has increased dramatically. Right.
Yeah.
He's gone from averaging maybe just under 3-pointers made per game to over 4. His effective field goal percentage has dramatically increased. Every aspect of his efficiency has increased. His assists have more than doubled. Right. His defensive numbers. I mean, you can't just look at defensive numbers off the page. He's not a great defender. I doubt he'll ever will be. But his defensive numbers have improved.
Sweet.
Value that or not. His rebounds have more than doubled. His points have gone from 9.7 points per game to 19.3.
Yeah.
And on top of that, he's the only shining light for probably the most derelict organization in arguably all of professional sports. I think the argument is clear cut.
Don't do my guy Vucevic like that, man. Come on.
But I mean, I don't see why the general media or fans of the game haven't picked up on this. I mean, as I said, Tyrese Maxey's just doing what he should be doing, right? They needed Tyrese Maxey to do what he's doing.
It's because they don't see Chicago as a team that can get anywhere. That's why.
And it's surprising because Chicago's even like a big market as well. I mean, I know they're not successful exactly, but they're even a big market. I just don't see how the general media hasn't just run away with this. I mean, it's the perfect story, right?
It is, actually. And he'll get like 2 days worth Yeah, Mason.
Well, I think most improved player, like I think for true fans of like the game of basketball who like watch the NBA, like it's a cool award. But
Yeah,
for like most households, like people can't name like who won the most improved player last year. Like Laurie Markkinen like won it last year, and I bet if you went took a survey like who is Laurie Markkinen, a lot of people wouldn't know who he is. Like it is a new award that's like you kind of have to be following the NBA to like have an
to
opinion on.
know.
And
Yeah.
I pulled up the list and I was looking at this. Everyone who's like on this list on the most improved player has become an all-star in their career. Besides, in the last since 2010, the players who
Jordan.
haven't won, haven't been named an all-star. CJ McCollum, who's basically the most fringe all-star player his whole career. Like,
Yeah.
there's an argument that like he could have done it some point of his career. Uh, Ryan Anderson, which is a weird one in 2012, and
Ooh.
then Aaron Brooks. So the
Hmm.
team, the most improved players like Giannis is in it, Siakam, Brandon Ingram, Julius Randle, John Morant, Jimmy Butler, Paul George, Kevin Love, Giannis Antetokounmpo, if I didn't mention him already, Goran Dragic. Like it's just they have all-star written into their DNA, and I think a lot of
Right.
when we vote about these the most improved player, it's like okay, it's like who's becoming a household name, and I think that's kind of like the narrative that I go into when I try to vote for these. I don't have a vote obviously in the NBA, but I like if I had to put money on it, I would bet who's going to become the biggest household name in this span, and Tyrese Maxey has because I think a lot of it because of Joel Embiid because he was getting a lot of MVP love, and he was getting so many national televised games of like this is the MVP, and then you had to also broadcast his co-star, which is Tyrese Maxey, who just like had a spike in usage because now James Harden was gone. So Tyrese Maxey has probably become a bigger household name, but I do agree that Kobe White has probably had the bigger jump, as in just bigger growth compared to Maxi. And I think Maxi's taken, huge steps. He's the fastest player in the NBA. And, just how he is produced and, his role has been awesome. But Kobe White's probably made the bigger jump. But I think Maxi is still the most improved player just because of the fact is he's become more recognizable than Maxi. And this is a voting thing. And you got to vote on the household name. And so I think that's what the narrative is. So, but what are your guys'
Yeah.
thoughts? Any pushback?
Yeah, no, I mean, I totally agree with that. The thing is see, I always feel like with a lot of these awards, but specifically with like most improved, sometimes even MVP, right? The person who ends up winning got it a year later than they should have.
Yeah.
Right? Like it would have made more sense. Like Tyrese Maxey would have been to me, a more fitting winner of it last year. Like to me, that is when he
Lowry?
made the jump. Well, no. I'm like, it was, if Maxi
I see
were
what
to
you're
win
saying.
it, Maxi had the bigger jump, his bigger jump last year. Is what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Right. Okay. Okay.
That's what I meant.
'Cause
Yeah,
I was gonna say Lowry went from like a
No.
throw-in salary matcher to an all-star starter.
Yeah,
I
no.
was-
Lowry,
Right.
Lowry
Tangent.
definitely they got that. In my opinion, they got that one right. See, and that's what I'm saying. Like we see that all the time. Like if you wanted to make the case for when John Morant, he should have won it the year before, right? From rookie to second year,
Yeah.
as opposed to second to third. That's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, it's hard. It's hard to quantify, but like when you're, I guess, yeah, for me, I'll goes back to it. Like with Kobe White and some other players, as Nick was saying with Lowry, when you're like, whoa, you're seeing a completely different dimension of what they're able to accomplish. To me, that stands out more. But I get it. The Maxi is, and again, deservedly an all-star, so I understand it. But yeah, if we looked at it differently, yeah, Kobe White would have my vote.
Yeah.
and
No,
Mason,
it's
just one
it's
more
all about
thing.
narratives.
Sort of the metric you used to prove your point. I've just got a question to do with it. You said every single one of those, bar a couple of people, every single one of those players that have won Most Improved have become an All-Star, right? When you said that, do you mean they become an All-Star at some point in their career, or they were an All-Star that season? Because I think
they become an all-star somewhat in that career. Now, usually it's very close to when they won that Most Improved Player. Like,
also, I think you could make the argument that Kobe White's on the trajectory to do that.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know.
There's a lot of guards.
In the East,
guard voting is kind of crazy.
Like a caliber player. I mean, there's guys like CJ McCollum there as well who are caliber.
Exactly.
All-star caliber.
No, yeah. I mean,
like for example, Monte Ellis won this.
I'm not no, 2007.
I forgot about that.
No, but yeah. So.
But no, I'm just saying I knew that. But I also did look at the list like 2 seconds ago. But no, I think all-star caliber is kind of, yeah, I agree with that. Like, I think he's an all-star caliber now, because all-star caliber is like, there's probably like,
there were conversations.
You could probably make a list that there's probably like 65 worthy like all-star caliber players in the NBA.
That's a podcast. That's a podcast.
That's a great podcast idea.
No,
hey, someone has to write that down.
There's a lot of them though. There's so many all-star caliber players. Like, you look at it, there's like 50 players that are almost averaging 20 points per game, and obviously that's just a stat right there. But like, how the criteria of like how to become an all-star was so much easier to look at when it was like 2010. Like, the metrics, like the numbers,
Absolutely.
what you had to do to become an all-star. Now it's like, guys are shooting so much more. There's more possessions, more scoring, and everyone's stats are inflated, puffed up. So it's an interesting conversation. But yeah, there's so many caliber players there, and I don't know. I don't know how likely. I would probably bet no that Kobe White's going to be an all-star in his career.
As someone who was 2 years old in 2010, I can't speak exactly to it.
Oh my God.
But
that's crazy.
but it does. I agree totally.
That's wild.
Just thought I'd throw that.
Kobe White is.
I knew you guys be crazy about that.
How old is he?
Yeah, he's
like
my pick too. No, we haven't.
He's 20. He's 24 right now.
The bottle ain't spun around to me, but he's the most improved, definitely, because
if Jalen Johnson didn't miss so much time, where would you have all had him?
Oh man,
I would have put him higher if the Hawks had a better record. Because he looked very strong, and I like that first month I was like, yeah, this is the most improved player.
Yeah.
And then the Hawks just were not winning. I think they were at one point Atlanta Hawks. They were like 9 games before.
Wait,
below.
You guys glitched out. I thought you guys said Jalen Brunson. Who did you guys?
Jalen Johnson.
Jalen Johnson.
Okay,
I'm bad. Saying I was so confused. Right, if he hadn't missed so much time, I'm wondering where, because he's taken off the books basically.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Right.
I mean, I think he would be high in the actual way it would pan out. I wouldn't have him very high personally because, as I said, I don't value the young players that should make that jump. I mean, similar to Tyrese Maxey, I think there's a lot of media outlets and just people generally that really follow the game that said that Jalen Johnson was primed for a breakout season, and he's lived up to that and more, and you have to give him credit for that. But I wouldn't personally have him on my list.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's such a weird award, most improved player. Like it's up because it's like a role player that's like who's making a big significant jump, and yeah, if like the Hawks were just winning more, I think I would have him put up higher. But as soon as that injury happened, it was like his odds were basically over. It felt like, at least the narrative, like everyone just stopped talking about him.
I mean, it's so much into interpretation. I mean, I feel like if you ask, Colin, you mentioned earlier, ask 100 people in the room, you'll be the one person that vouched for X player. I can't remember who we were talking about.
Right? 1 year.
But I mean, if there's 100 people in the
got
room,
99 out of 100 votes, and that one New York writer gave it to Melo. I mean, I wouldn't be that egregious, but that would be me.
I feel like if you ask 100
that was
people,
payback for the rookie of the year season. That's what that was.
Yeah.
If you ask 100 people in a room, right, who's your MIP? They'll give you 4 or 5 different players between all of them, and about 20 different cases as to why. It's
Because,
so much up to interpretation.
as of now, right, it is Tyrese Maxey, Kobe White, Jonathan Kuminga, and then Jalen Williams.
I mean, you can make the case to Alperen Sengun too. I believe he makes the requirements for 65 games.
Yeah, I think he would have. So it's really interesting. It's really interesting. But yeah, I agree. I mean, that one, again, is he just like the biggest points jump? I mean, if you're not a scorer, right? If you're like a defensive, maestro, then right. So it's so hard to quantify if at all.
I got a fun question. Who's your pick for next year from right now? Because I was just thinking about it then. Do you guys think Jalen Green's maybe a contender for it? The way he's playing, man. I don't know if he is.
Most
He's
improved.
very. Yeah, I don't. I did just it just popped into my head. It was very on the spot thought.
I mean, if I were to make the argument for that, because he's averaging north of 30 points per game, right? In this
Over the
10
last
game
month.
or 11 game winning streak. I mean, if he were to do that, even when Alperen Sengun returned, I'd have to imagine he'd at least be in the conversation for most
Yeah,
improved.
you-
Like, if you're sustaining
Absolutely.
that
He
level,
would win it. He would win
yeah,
it.
right. So definitely.
Can we also talk about he's nowhere near in any conversations, right? This is totally left field. Throw this out there.
Okay.
Jalen
I'm bracing
Brunson.
myself. Yes, okay.
Hear me out. Jalen Brunson is currently 4th in the league in scoring. Right? He's ahead of the likes of Kevin Durant, Stephen Curry, Kyrie Irving. I believe he's ahead of LeBron James. I think he's ahead of Donovan Mitchell and De'Aaron Fox as well. Right? He's ahead of all these other elite scorers. He's a solid playmaker. I believe he's averaging somewhere around 7 to 8 assists a game. He's a decent rebounder for a guard. He's obviously nowhere near in any conversations because he's coming off an all-star caliber year last year. And he's become... But I mean, he's like an all-star starter caliber player. Now, I mean, he's made that huge jump from non-all-star to all-star starter caliber player. Similar to other jumps we've seen in the past. I mean, you look at jumps like when Ja Morant won the award. I don't think he should have won it, but he went from an all-star caliber player, not quite making it, to an all-star starter.
Mhm.
And that's the sort of jump that I think is required to put yourself in conversations, right? Whether that jump is from role player to all-star or all-star caliber to all-star starter, superstar, all-NBA caliber player. What do you guys think about that? Obviously, he doesn't have a chance of winning it, but
Yeah, I mean, just a quick thought. It would be difficult for any, because basically you have 2 all-stars under his belt, right? It'd be difficult for an established all-star. As far as I'm concerned, he's an established all-star now to somehow
Absolutely.
win the most improved player. Like
that's what I mean. That's why he's
He
not in
should've been
conversations. But I
He
mean,
should have been an
just in
all-star
terms of the
last
way he's
year.
improved.
Yeah.
Just in terms of the way he's improved. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's definitely
no.
noteworthy, but no, I can't see him being in that conversation. Yeah.
I agree with you. His numbers will be too big this year, at the end of this year, to like when the graphic comes out next year. If he did have a boost,
I mean,
in numbers.
for this year. Sorry.
Oh, I mean, there's a case that you could make that argument, yeah, because of the big jump. But I just think that with how much time's left in the NBA and just not enough people are backing that argument right now, I just don't think he'd win it. But there's an argument that
I
he's
just throw it out there.
deserving of it. But
Yeah.
that's a good argument.
Can I
though.
just say, props to Jalen Brunson for the way he's been playing. He's fast becoming one of my favorite guys to watch in the league. When he's got it on, he's got it on. He's one of the, he reminds me of like a, I mean, not in terms of the way they play. They have some stark differences. But just in terms of that pure scoring dominance from a smaller guard, right? Like when they have it on, he reminds me of like a younger Kemba Walker. You know, when they both just have it on, there's just no way to stop them. I'm not saying their play styles are remotely similar. I'm simply saying that when they're on, and you can't stop them.
I'll give him a better comparison. He reminds me of Chauncey Billups during the Pistons, like when we won our championship in 04, and was at every Eastern Conference final for like 7 or 8 years, that's what he reminds me of right now. Like floor general, don't have to be the biggest scorer in the game, can orchestrate and get everybody in their spots, making sure he hitting you in the pocket, you're involved in the game. It's no ego with him. You know what I mean? It's just like full, just a true floor general. And there's not a lot of those in the NBA. Everybody is
Absolutely.
worried
It's a
about
valuable
shooting more
quality.
than anything. You know what I mean? So, yeah, like bringing him over to New York brought them stability instead of, oh, Julius, and we're doing this year, to, oh, damn, now the fans are booing Julius and he talking smack to the crowd. Like, nobody cares about that now. Like, and then you plug in that OG Ananobi's and you try to bring in other role players. Mitchell Robinson then came back. Please, Knicks, do something. But I think that they actually are a contender. They're a real contender now. You know what I mean? So
Absolutely.
that's just how I see them. And it's because of Jalen Brunson. Without him, hang it up.
Okay, so I believe that means our majority. Going back to the conversation, we got very sidetracked. That was probably my fault. But most improved player, the majority of us agree that it is Kobe White,
Yes, sir.
with
And
Tyrese Maxey in
we will
second
likely
place.
be wrong. Yes. Okay. So
Oh yeah, no, I think we all agree we're wrong. I think we
Yeah.
all know it's going to Tyrese Maxey.
Yeah.
But now moving on to the biggest award of the year. This is
Did
the
we
one
do
we've been
six
waiting
man?
for.
Did we?
Now
No.
moving on to the sixth man of the year.
Yeah.
My bad.
I'm interested to
Okay.
hear these.
I think there's a lot of great cases. I'm just sort of looking at your faces. Who's making the most interesting face? Mike. Here we go.
What do you guys think of Dante DiVincenzo being the
Whoa.
sixth player of the year candidate? I
Where
mean,
did that
seriously.
come from?
Well,
Holy shit!
I mean, because
Technically, does he qualify?
that's
I don't think he
that's
started
what I
many games.
mean.
He
He
has to have
started
started
some.
51% of his, or he has to have come off the bench for 51% of his games.
Michael,
I
I didn't
got-
throw you
I-
a question to throw
I'm
another
pulling up the
question. Who's your
stats.
player?
I mean, I needed to get clarity because I don't know if he. I should have been looking it up because I put his name down here on my list like Dante, and I should have looked
Let me
like
do the research. Hang on.
what's the
So-
percentage of games. But
DiVincenzo has started 54 games this year, played 72.
boo.
By the way, the guy's an Iron Man that's played. But I'll jump into mine. I think so. Mine kind of jumps in as kind of like the Swiss Army knife. I really like watching Kings games this year. They're kind of been like one of a sneaky league pass for me. I mean, their record just isn't as good as last year's, but that team is just fun to watch. But my sixth man is Malik Monk. I mean, I really hate that the Lakers passed on him. Not to bring up the Lakers at all, but Malik Monk is just so clutch. He is just a spark. I mean, De'Aaron Fox is one clutch player of the year last year, but Malik Monk is putting up similar numbers this year with De'Aaron Fox this year. They're just so efficient when it comes to crunch time. Like they can just make big shots. And when you watch the highlights or you miss the games and you watch the highlights, the shots that Monk makes are just insane. Like they're contested shots, and I think he's just a great spark off the bench, and he just electrifies the crowd, and he is also just a big, he's just a dog. He really is. I love Malik Monk, and I would put my sixth man as Malik Monk because they've needed him. They've needed him bad. Fox has gone through some up and down stretches this year, and Monk has been consistent for them. So I would have to give my sixth man of the year for Malik Monk.
Yeah, I mean, he's just
Okay.
sort of
Can I
the one
can I
that.
switch up?
Switch
yeah.
up? Did I persuade you?
Can I switch my pick?
Yeah.
Okay, since it wasn't legit, and it is kind of going the con route, like seeing what he brings to that team, seeing what happened when he went down. You probably know who I'm talking about now, and the fact that he actually stepped up to become a six man. I'm gonna give it to Russell Westbrook. With the Clippers were soaring when he went to the bench. Like they were looking like arguably a championship contention team. You know what I mean? So And then he went down, and then some of the stuff off the rails with like Harden and PG had a little injury here and there. So I think that he was keeping things together because he gave them another look. You couldn't slow the Clippers down with that second unit. Like they come flying out the gate, and it's because of Russell Westbrook. You know what I mean? And then he was able to still find everybody, still do what he does, improved. Well, I mean, I would say he's like still improving on defense. He's playing defense enough. He's getting big stops in timely moments. Um, and he's still just been Russ. You know what I mean? Like I still see 27-7 in him at least. Like if he had his own team, you know what I mean? So just for him to actually himself come to the point where okay, this Kawhi peak. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna be the sixth man. I'm gonna go to the bench. James, you start. I'm gonna control this second unit because he had the vision to be able to see Ty Lue trying to respect me and start all of us top heavy is not gonna work. And I respect him for that. And I think that he has like before the Clippers started kind of falling in the standings, they didn't fall until Russ went down. So I would give Russ six man of the year, and I don't, I'm not looking at any stats at whatsoever. Like it's just what he has done for the overall team. Yeah, it speaks more volumes. Because if they won a championship, and it's because of what he does off the bench, that's why they would have won, or they would have won 2, 3 years ago already. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna give it to Russ, and that's probably a biased pick, but I mean at the same time, I'm just looking at his body of work for the Clippers.
I mean, in terms
So
of narratives, that would be pretty cool, right? I mean, I'd have to confirm. I'm pretty sure that'd be the first time since Bill Walton, right, that a former
Yeah.
MVP won Sixth Man of the Year. That would make for a pretty cool narrative, right?
yeah,
But as you were like, as you were explaining your pick, as of now, I think he'll hit it. But right now, so far, Westbrook has played 61 games, right?
Yeah.
So he needs 4 more to officially qualify for the award. Had he not returned, it's actually kind of funny that you went the Clippers route. My pick actually would have been Norman Powell. And I've gone
Okay.
back and to be fair, I'm not completely crazy. He's
No,
third
no. Yeah,
in
yeah.
terms of the Sixth Man of the Year
Yeah.
odds. I had to convert. No, and to be fair, I've been going back and forth between him and Malik Monk. So I'm for the most part I'm with Nick and Mason on this one. But my case though for Powell was even before Westbrook went down. I mean Powell. I mean, just
He was like
consistency.
Westbrook's go-to
Consistency.
damn near.
Yeah, consistency goes a long way, and he was just like that complete stabilizing force off the bench. I mean, his corner 3-point corner 3-point metrics are like insane. I mean, he's like dang near 55%, right? I believe from like the right corner. Yeah, I mean, definitely Monk has more shot creation, so that's probably why I would have leaned. But I mean, yeah, prior to Monk going down, it seems like every other game I was kind of like just going back and forth between Malik Monk and Norman Powell. So one of those two guys would definitely be my vote. Probably Monk, and still will be.
Yeah.
I think he is definitely deserving, but I think Powell definitely gave him a run for his money. So
Powell's underrated. That's a
Absolutely.
good guy to mention as well. Like that. Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I think I like Monk as the front runner, but Norman Powell has been excellent for them. Like that, they've gotten everything out of him that they needed to. So, good Norman Powell love. I like it.
yeah,
You got to get his flowers every once in a while.
I mean, it's
I
pretty
think-
crazy because, I mean, even going back to his days in Toronto, but then Toronto, then Portland, then the Clippers, like whether or not he came off the bench or started, he's just absolutely consistent. Like there's
Right.
no change. Like some people just need, right, like to find their rhythm. He just comes in and does it. So I feel like that kind of gets like overlooked because he's so consistent. But he definitely he would be a deserving winner if he were to get it. I don't think he will, but so
That's good.
I think it's interesting that there was no mention of
Nas Reed.
Tim Hardaway Jr. Just based on he wasn't
Hell no.
he wasn't even on my top 3. But no, not even on my top 3. But I'm just saying, I think he was the betting favorite for like 3/4 of the season, 4/5 of the season. So I just think it's interesting that all of us have just completely scrapped that. That's all I
Yeah,
have to add, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he definitely had a really hot stretch for a while. But no, even then at that time, I still think Monk
He
and
wasn't my
some of the
pick
other
at any
guys
point,
were,
but-
yeah.
All right.
Well, I think
Now it's
there's
time
one
for
more award left, right?
One more
Yep.
award.
So
Before that-
maybe I'll start it off as
What is it?
Is
Coach of
anyone
the year?
Leon,
not
Leon,
okay?
Leon. So we need to agree the order. Sorry. Malik Monk, I believe, is the winner. Correct? With 3. He was your first place, correct? Not Norman Powell.
When all said and done, yeah, it's gonna be for me Monk. Yeah, Monk would be my first.
Malik Monk and then Russell Westbrook and Norman Powell tie for second place. Is that where we're doing it?
I could live with that. Yeah.
All right. So now it's time to really actually do the big one we've been waiting for. Mason, I cut you off before. Apologies for that.
No.
I'll let you lead
No,
off.
I think it
Are
would
we-
be great to. So I think this is going to be the first and only sweep that we're going to have. Does anyone not have Jokic?
I don't like that laugh, Con. I don't like that laugh.
Does anyone not have Jokic?
I have chaos.
I have chaos.
I have
What?
chaos if you want it.
Okay, so maybe it sounds like I'm the only one in the boat.
No. I have Jokic, and to me,
Yeah.
it's not even debatable. But
No,
I had a feeling these other two would think otherwise. So
Yeah, I got some chaos.
that is where my grin
I-
comes from. But no,
I pick-
to me it's
I would pick Jokic, but I'm not gonna stop acknowledging Giannis. It's like he's gotten to a point where the league and just media, just everybody, nobody even talks about him for MVP anymore. You know what I mean? Like he's just not. It doesn't seem like he's in the consciousness of the. He's not in the MVP narrative consciousness of NBA fans or media anymore. It's they're waiting on Luka to get one, but right now it's Jokic, Embiid, and whoever else coming up. Like I hear more
Same.
SGA than I hear Giannis, and I understand the Thunder's record and all of that stuff. But Giannis went through a coaching change. He went through a star point guard change. He went through philosophical changes by having a new coach come in there, then having another new coach come in there, and then he still maintained his efficiencies that he has over since what 2-3 years ago, where he was like the most highest efficient player ever in the league. He's still there, and I know Jokic is putting up all those numbers, but if Giannis was averaging 8 assists, would he be more considered to be MVP? Because I think the MVP award is turning into a. It seems like to me, it's turning into an assist award. Like, okay, 30 points, 10 rebounds, but do you have 8 assists? Do you have, unless you're Joel Embiid last season?
But in the what if we're saying what if this player did this amount,
Yeah,
I think that's like this is the MVP. This is not the what if they did this. What would they do? What would they win?
that
Like,
is a Marvel
is-
show. What
Is
if?
Jokic? Is Jokic not the best player in the world?
yes, he is.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, let me
And
get
then-
in here.
So he's got an insane metrics right now. But I'll throw it back to Nick. Maybe he can throw more chaos into this mess. So
I agree. Jokic is the best player in the world right now. Now that's a different argument to MVP.
yeah, no, exactly.
Those are two different arguments.
Yes.
It's
I agree.
layers. It's layers to it. It's layers.
I agree.
Okay.
I agree.
Michael, I'm just a bit shocked. You just listed off, I believe, 5 names for MVP, and not one of them was Shea Gilgeous-Alexander.
I did. I mentioned SGA.
He did,
I mentioned him.
No, you
I
did.
said he.
No.
I said he's more mentioned than Giannis. Yes, I did.
Yeah, he did.
Did you? Oh, my bad. All right.
Okay,
My fault.
give me your case.
That's
Give me your
why I was
case.
tripping. I was going crazy. Yeah, I took notes for this one. This one was very important to me. Yeah, let me get him. All right, I got some stats here. I want to share with you guys.
Oh,
That's some
For
stats.
Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, he has had 50 30-point performances in this season so far. I believe he's actually on track to go for 60, right? Including, he also broke I think he's on track right now to break the record for the most consecutive 30-point performances. I'm going to let you guys play a little game, right? Who are the other names that you guys think are on that list for 50 plus 30-point performances in the season?
Jordan,
Kobe, Jordan,
Harden.
probably Steph, definitely Harden.
There is 4 names on
I
this
don't think
list other
I
than
don't think
Shea.
Steph's on that.
Yeah, I don't think he would be.
The names are Michael Jordan, Kobe Bean Bryant, James Harden, and Tracy McGrady.
Tracy
4
McGrady.
players.
How did I not know?
Yeah, Mike, I'm gonna be honest, I thought you'd get that. I mean, you're aging. Right. So only 4 other players have done that, right? And I believe he's second all time for most consecutive 30-point games, and he's on track. He's
Behind
still
who?
on that
MJ?
streak. I'm not quite sure.
Oh,
I just know
okay.
that he's second. That's my bad for lack of research and preparation. But I know he's second, and he's still holding that streak right now. He's the best player on a team that went from missing the play-in to the 2 seed in arguably the most difficult conference in recent history. Now, I know he got Chet. That was a massive addition, right? But the fact is, he was the best player, and he led that team to make this humongous jump. I mean, a lot of people were expecting them to take some kind of a jump. I don't think anyone expected this kind of a jump. You can make the argument right now that they are the best team in the NBA. I'm not saying they are, but you can make an argument.
Do they make
I'm
that
not going to
jump
get into
without
that.
Chet though? Do they make that jump without Chet?
No, they don't. They don't. But they sure as hell aren't even anywhere.
And
I think they're a lot
Williams.
closer to doing that.
Jalen Williams.
There were other factors into it.
Hmm.
I'm not going to discredit that. There were other jumps, but the
Uh-huh.
fact is, he's the leader of this team. He is the main
Yeah.
focal point. They run their offense through him.
Yeah.
I believe he has more isolation. I think he's top 3 in isolation positions. Right. I got numbers.
You're
to back
just
this
an
up. I got
SGA
prepared.
fan. He's been doing this for like 2 or 3 years now, for real.
No, but
This
he's
is-
not
this
on
is-
these.
this is
No, he
math.
hasn't had these.
Oh,
He hasn't had these numbers though.
I
He
mean,
hasn't
not the
gotten into these
not the
conversations.
consistent 30-point scores,
And
but he's
finally-
been like right there.
Speaking of consistency, he's been the most consistent player in the NBA. So much so that it's become something of a joke among NBA fans that he will end up with the same stat line every night. You know what you're getting from him every game, every night, night in, night out. Whether you're playing Detroit Pistons or the Denver Nuggets. Sorry for the shots there, Mike. Right.
Damn.
And as I
Detroit or Denver.
said, and as I said, right, he's the best player. I know you guys got caught up on the fact that I said that he led the team. Obviously, there were other factors,
Mhm.
but they're the 2 seed. And again, probably, arguably, I mean, I know in my lifetime, not even just in my time watching as a fan, but just looking back through it in my actual lifetime, probably the most difficult conference, or at least arguably the most difficult conference. Right? I mean, there's
No, but that's recency
no
bias. But no,
recency bias. I mean, I've just looked at win losses. That's all I looked through for previous seasons.
but I understand.
Right.
I understand your argument. So
I mean, I couldn't speak on experience of the teams, not being there to sort of watch it all.
yeah,
That's all I had to go on.
I mean,
And again, I hate that it's part of it, but the fact is, it's true. The narrative. There is this narrative of him being this young, rising star. I mean, he was already a star, but he's gone from. I don't think he was quite a household name a year ago. I don't think you can make an argument that he's not a top 5 to top 6 player in the world right now. And I'm not even saying MVP. I'm saying in the world.
I know.
That's including. Sorry, Mason.
No, yeah. So I hate to do this because Shea is such a likable guy. I think like he stays out of the media. Like his brand is like he just he's kind of mysterious. Just doesn't like to do interviews too much. speaks in IG quotes, but like he has been consistent, and that's a hell of a list that you listed off with him being Tracy McGrady, Kobe, and MJ on that list, most 30-point games, and he's having a phenomenal season, and he deserves all the flowers. And I think you are right. He wasn't really a household name last year, and he's becoming it this year. And the playoffs he'll show the world that like how consistent he really is when every game he has is nationally televised, and like that's going to be an exciting time. But in this generation, like 30-point games are almost like the new 25-point games. Like
Yeah, but nobody's scoring as many 30s as him. That's the difference.
But like he's also playing in 2024. Like it's just different. Like there's more possessions, there's more shots. Like it does favor him. I'm not trying to discredit Shea because Shea is definitely a top 5 player in the world. But and you said it yourself, he's definitely a top 5 player in the world. But like this is the NBA. We're talking about the greatest league in the world, and if he's top 5, and if you're not bold enough to say top 1, then I think we just got to give it to there's got to be some pushback on that, because like Jokic is the best player in the world. He's got the 3rd best team in the Western Conference. He's only a half game back behind the Thunder, and I'll let Khan speak. I know he hasn't spoken at all this topic. I'll let him get a 2 cents in.
One second, God. I'm sorry. I've just got to second this while I have the stats up in front of me, and then Connor can go. Sorry. But here's the numbers. Shea is currently at 54 30-point games this season. Next highest is 42 with Giannis. The next highest is Anthony Edwards with 28. He's nearly double 3rd place. And he's 10 games ahead of 2nd place. I don't think you can simply dismiss his argument by saying it's 2024 when he's putting up historic numbers and he's on these lists that no one else is a part of.
But MVP,
it's 2024 for every other player in the league.
Is the MVP a scoring award?
Exactly.
Like,
no, it's not. But I mean, it's a big part of it. It's a big part of the game. The aim of the game is a big part of it. It's literally the aim of the game. And I'm not saying it's the only part, but he's got the winning. He's got the consistency. He's got the the ability to create for others. He's one of the best we have in recent memory for creating for himself. He has everything. I mean, maybe not everything.
Can he get stops? Can he get stops? Can he get key stops on?
And I don't agree with it. I don't agree with this, by the way. I'm just throwing this out here. You can make the same argument for Jokic in comparison to other guys in MVP race. I think Jokic is a very underrated defender. I do want to say that. But I mean, in comparison to other guys that also
he gets key stops. He doesn't have to be a stopper, but if you can get key stops in your run for MVP, then
okay. How about this?
Yeah,
I think that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is a lot closer on defense to Nikola Jokic, a hell of a lot closer than Jokic is to Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Well, that's not a fair comparison. Giannis is a freak defensive athlete. Giannis they brought Brook Lopez in. Brook Lopez went from nowhere near having any defensive acumen to suddenly being a defensive player of the year candidate.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is
that's incomparable. I would say
that's
just me.
So you're saying it's incomparable because someone is just so much better at it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Because comparing Jokic to Giannis, he's not. Giannis has won MVP and DPOY in the same year.
Absolutely.
Jokic.
But he's someone else. Giannis is also someone who's in the MVP conversation.
Yeah, but MVP.
You said Giannis.
No DPOYs though. No DPOYs. I mean, it matters to me.
We're getting off track a little bit on the legacy stuff.
He's staunchly defending for SGA, and I get appreciate your love for it. That's cool.
I guess what I'll say for both of you guys is that the only narrative that this award takes into account is in what manner and to what extent, to what impact the MVP candidate has on their team and on the entire game as a whole. So
Right.
whatever personal adversity that you believe Giannis is going through, having to play for Doc Rivers,
Absolutely.
that makes
Mhm.
nothing. And as admirable as it is to take a play-in team to second in the West, that is, again, is it an award for this year or is it an award for last year? No. Simply put, and with the whole use of stats, I mean, it's the same thing going back to what Michael said. I mean, I understand. I'm not trying to discredit SGA's accomplishments, but fine. If I had a player that was averaging 20 points per game but averaging 15 assists per game, are you telling me he's less deserving because he's scoring less, even though he's clearly facilitating more?
No, but I
No.
mean, Shea's also facilitating.
Come on, man.
He
Not
talking
as
about
much, but I
elite
mean,
facilitation. That's like Rondo,
15.
Jason Kidd levels.
No.
Okay, how many? So you're saying like, so let's say 20 and 10. I think is a fair number. 20 and.
Are
Would
you
say 20 and
watching
10?
games?
I'm watching games. I do know he's not exactly a creator in the name of the word, but I mean, you're saying you're stating numbers here, and I'm not prepared to say that he's doesn't get some kind of. He does get numbers. He does get
And all
just
these
numbers,
numbers
whether he's
have
a creator or not.
context which you are taking them out of. I mean, simply put,
I'm just trying to defend my guy, man.
yeah, no, there is a case
Hard
to be
too.
made. There's a case to be made. I mean, he's a top 5, right, in terms of the betting odds. But
Shay's a top.
simply put, go ahead.
I'm cutting you off. Like Nick, if I had a ballot, I would put a Shay as my number 2. But I think the difference between 1 and 2 is so different for me that I just Jokic. But I cut Con off, and I'm
Yeah.
sorry for doing that. But
No.
Oh.
And you're absolutely right. Like, he would be on my ballot too. But I mean, like I said, this is an NBA 2K, right? Being like, hey, I'm third in this rating and you're first, but I'm first in this. No, I mean, there is no one catch-all metric for any of these players. But simply put, I mean, again, it can vary from year to year. Sometimes it was as simple in back in the day, like who was the best player on the best team. And again, that's what people have been saying all like. If it was that old school mentality, should it not be Jason Tatum?
Absolutely.
Right? And frankly, I'm pretty sure none of us would even really consider him for the MVP.
He's on my ballot, but yeah, I know what you mean.
I mean, going back to it, I'm with Mason in terms of, as old school coaches used to say, who can actually bend a defense. The only one who can really do that to me is
Jokic.
Nikola Jokic. There is no building team around him in the sense that like he can only play one style. The guy looks like he can't run like just 40 yards. I'm not even asking him to run the 40-yard dash. He doesn't even look like he could run 40 yards. And yet he can play as up-tempo as you want. Again, talk about chameleons. Right now, he is the chameleon. And nobody has, the ability to completely manipulate the game. By manipulate, I mean really, forcing a defense to play to whatever pace, changing the geometry of the court. As Michael was saying earlier, like these seemingly circus shots become routine, So I mean, no, I'm with Mason. Until further notice, Jokic is by far and away the MVP. To me, it's not close. Now, where it does get spicy then is who would be the runner up. But ultimately, that's just for bragging purposes, right? Only one guy walks away with hardware. There is no silver or bronze medal, for
That's just the first loser.
MVP. Yeah, because at that point, I think there could be a case for who would be runner up. But right now, I'm with Mason. I think it's Nikola Jokic, and I think he's just going to be a runaway.
So consensusly, Michael, do you also have Jokic?
Yeah,
at the
I got Jokic. I just wanted to bring up Giannis because it's like nobody. I don't know. I haven't. Maybe I do need to. Has Bill Simmons talked about him? Like I haven't been hearing anybody talk about him. I listen to NBA radio all day, every day while I'm working. I haven't even heard them. You know what I mean? So it's just been
I think
SGA,
there are
Jokic.
people who are high on Giannis.
Who?
Sorry to cut you off.
Who
I'm
is?
just saying, someone you should definitely listen to. I'm not sure if you tapped in. Kenny Beecham. He's really good.
Oh yeah,
He's actually he's a really good voice in NBA media. And he's definitely
yeah.
worth checking out if you haven't.
Yeah, I haven't. I don't know. Usually when I'm working, I can't YouTube it that hard. But yeah, I got Jokic. Let me not get off topic.
So yeah, so it sounds like we have Jokic as our MVP for this year. Then.
Let's just make a consensus. I'll go Jokic as well. Let's just make it a consensus.
Okay, and then I think we'll have
I don't
Shea
want to
as
be
a
that one
runner-up.
guy.
I think we have Shea as a runner-up then too. But no, it's good to be a contrarian. If that's what you believe, you got to stick to what you believe.
Yeah, he put up a
But,
fight. That's what's up.
I know. He was clawing
I
at
don't know.
us.
I'm happy about it, but I'll let it go. All right. Well, so in that case, I believe that's all of the awards. So just to run
Real
back
quick,
through it.
real quick. 5
Oh,
seconds,
yeah.
just an answer. Coach of the year.
Coach of the year,
Yeah.
Chris Finch.
Coach of the year. I didn't know
Okay.
we were doing that.
I like that
Chris
one.
Finch. I got Mark Dynalt.
Same.
Same, Mark Daigneault. Yeah.
Yeah.
But Chris Finch is a very, very close second.
Mark
say very,
Daigneault.
very close.
I'd have him
Splitting
third,
hairs.
personally. Mark Daigneault, Jamal Mosley, Chris Finch.
Jamal Mosley's a good pick. I have him third.
Yeah.
I agree with Khan's list completely. I'd sign off on that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
All right. So
Awesome.
to run back through it, our official awards for 2024 Rookie of the Year, we have Chet Holmgren. I believe. Then we did Sixth Man of the Year.
No. We had
Wembanyama.
Wembanyama.
Did I not say Wembanyama? Oh, my
No,
fault.
you said Chet Holmgren.
It's all right.
No. That just means I made a very compelling argument.
Just
That's
restart
good.
it. Just restart it.
Okay, so Rookie of the Year was Victor Wembanyama. We had Sixth Man of the Year, Malik Monk. We had Defensive Player of the Year, Rudy Gobert. And we had
Most improved.
Most Improved Player. We agreed consensus. I think there was a consensus. Kobe White.
Kobe White, yeah.
And Coach of the Year was Mark Daigneault. And the biggest award of the year, MVP, was Nikola Jokic by consensus. Thank you for listening to the Box Score podcast on Spotify and YouTube. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube. We post our visual clips on there. If you want to check that out, make sure to rate us 5 stars on Spotify. Helps with the algorithm. And we will see you guys next week.